Yo, what's good with y'all? In today's video, I have the how to make a tycoon series. This is part one of the how to make a tycoon series. Um, as always, depending on how well this video does, will determine if whether or not I make a part two. Part two can include, I guess, improvements to the first one and just addition to things, rebirth system. I'm sorry, I'm tripping. The simulators. It can include multipliers, game passes, extra stuff like that. So yeah, you guys let me know if you want a part two. If the video gets enough love, then I for sure got y'all with a part two and stuff. Thank you guys for all the love and support you guys have been showing the channel. Greatly do appreciate it. Thank you to all of my new channel members and subscribers who subscribed and joined the channel membership over the weekend. And yeah, let's go ahead and get straight. Well, not over the weekend because this video is releasing like next week, but anyway. Let's go ahead and get straight into the video. Okay, so a lot of this stuff is pre-made except for the scripting. The reason for that is because I honestly didn't trust myself to remember the properties of each thing, just in case there was like a single thing wrong, and then I'd just be sitting here for like 3 to 5 minutes wasting time just trying to figure out what property I need to change and whatnot. Because just to clarify, right, what I'm using right now, I took the file from my old tutorial series that I did in like 2021 or maybe 2022, and then I just revamped it and stuff. So I don't remember the properties and stuff, everything I made. But anyway, I'm gonna explain everything, so don't worry. First things first. I guess I'll go ahead and just get into the tycoon. Or no, let's start off some simple. So first things first, of course, you guys are gonna need teams, right? That's the first thing, is teams. So you have Alpha, Beta, Charlie, Gamma, and No Tycoon. Now it's you guys' choice what to name the teams and how many teams you want to have, right? The only things I would say is you need to have at least one team that says No Tycoon and then another Tycoon. Another team, right? So your No Tycoon team or your neutral team, right? You want it to be you want it to be auto assignable, right? But now for every other team, you don't want it to be auto-assignable. Auto-assignable means it'll automatically assign that player to said team, right? And you want the player to be automatically assigned to the No Tycoon team when they first join the game. And then you'll change their team. You'll set their team to whatever Tycoon they own when they claim one, right? Now to get into each thing, I'm gonna just break everything up and then just get into each thing. Okay, so first we have our folder right here. This is parts. Okay. So the way this is going to work is, you guys know when you have droppers and then like objects fall out of the droppers and stuff, we're going to refer to those objects as parts, right? And then you guys know how it falls out of, like a dropper would be right here, then it would fall out, it would go on the conveyor belt, and then it would just be destroyed right here and then turn into cash, gems, whatever the case may be, whatever the currency is for the game, right? So we're going to refer to those as parts for the video. So you want to insert a folder, right? Well, actually, first you want to make a group model, right? You make a group by doing Control and G. So Control G. Oh, well, you can't do that to the thing, but yeah. So if I want to do it, I could just do Control G. Then I might do that. But anyway, you just do Control G. Then you would name it whatever your Tycoon name is. Now, this is something to note, to pay attention to. The name of your team has to match the name of the corresponding Tycoon group in Workspace. Like how you guys see Alpha Tycoon is the exact same, is spelled the exact same as the team name for it, right? So make sure they're the exact same, right? So you want to insert a folder, so just type folder, then just name it parts. When the parts are dropping from the dropper and are sliding down the conveyor belt to be destroyed, they're going to be parented to this folder, because obviously we wouldn't want to just parent all the parts to the workspace and stuff, because then we would just have a whole bunch of parts in the workspace and then it would just clutter up everything. You couldn't really find anything, so we're just going to keep it inside of the folder for each tycoon. All right, then moving on, we have our spawner. So just to clarify, right, this is the spawner. This obviously is not the dropper, right? This is the part, you step on the little circle, and then if you have enough money, you're able to buy it. So the way these things work is, once again, to create a group, you just press Control and G, right? So for this, you would name the starter drop spawner. The naming is very important. So name it starter drop spawner, and then you would want to insert a humanoid into it. Humanoid is how we give things overhead names, right? So then inside of the humanoid, you're gonna want to name it the display name, starter, dropper, and then in parentheses free. But it's up to you guys how you want to do the naming. For me, I wanted to have the name of whatever the, I guess you could say, item is or whatnot, and then in parentheses I'm gonna have the price. So of course, since it's the starter dropper, it's free or 0, right? And then you're gonna have the part. This is the actual part. This is, if you don't know how to make this, this is simply just a cylinder. You just rotate the cylinder, right? You just rotate the cylinder, and then you just simply scale it down, and then just stretch it out, right? Just like that. And then that's how you would go about making that, right? And then you would name that head, and then inside you would insert a number value, so plus icon, number value, right? And then you would name this number value price. This, as you guys can probably surmise, is the price it's gonna cost, like how much it's gonna cost to be able to spawn the dropper. The way I scripted it, I used a module script to where it'll automatically, like, it's extremely easy to add stuff as long as you understand how to, like, how the framework is set up and you understand how to make this first tycoon. You guys can add on as many droppers, as many tycoons as you want and stuff. My script is adaptable. As long as you set it up correctly, then you'll be good to go. But yeah, so you want to name it price and set the value equal to 0, right? Then we're done with the starter dropper spawner. Then on to probably one of the most important things, the Tycoon Claimer. This is the sign, you walk through it, it becomes transparent, and then your name is there. So like I said, to create a group, you press Control and G, and then you want to name this Tycoon Claimer, right? Then just like I said before, same thing, insert a humanoid, change the display name to claim here, exclamation mark, so that players know that they're able to claim it. And then for the head, I just made, it's just a regular part. It's simply just a regular part that I scaled. I made the color neon. It's not transparent yet. I made the color red. And then, of course, with all these parts, you want to make sure everything is anchored. You want to make sure everything is anchored. By default, you want this to be set to can collide. Yeah, and everything can be can collide as well, right? And stuff, right? So you can really have it like that. And then that's it for the Tycoon Claimer. Then I have wall. This is simply, okay, so to pretty much explain this, because this icon might kind of confuse people, this is a union. I don't know if you guys have ever heard, or to be more specific, a union operation. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. This just pretty much means there's multiple parts combined into one. It's simply just 3 parts. Like these two, you guys can tell that these two are the same exact thing. Just one's over here, the other one's over here. And then this is just a longer version of that. And then everything is just connected, right? So to union, you guys don't even have to make it just like this, but if you're interested, you would simply just do this. You would want to take 2 parts, right? Say if you're trying to make like a wall type thing, like you want them to be connected, but facing different directions. So let me duplicate that, and then yeah, you want it to be like this, right? Simply what you would do is you would take both parts, right? You would hold control, or just generally select both of them, right? Then you would go to model, and then you would go up here and click union, and then yeah, they're pretty much going to be combined. They're pretty much going to be combined together. But keep in mind, it does depend on how you, like, because you guys see, as you guys can tell, it obviously doesn't, like, it doesn't look right because it's not oriented correctly and stuff. You have to make sure that, like, it lines up perfectly. That's why mine, you can't even see the line, because you have to just make sure it's lined up perfectly. But like I said, you guys don't have to do that. You guys can simply just, to make your wall, you can simply just have your part, scale it, right? Boom. That's one side of the wall. That's second side of the wall, and then boom, you guys can just make it, you guys can make it just like that. You don't have to necessarily make it just like, you don't have to combine or union it, whatever, right? But anyway, yeah, so that's just the wall. And honestly, the wall is kind of optional. You don't even really need that necessarily, because it won't affect anything in the script, so you can really leave it out if you wanted. Then we have our collector. You guys know this is the part where all the parts fall onto it, and then they're destroyed, and then they're converted into currency, right? So you want to name this collector, right? And then I just have a particle emitter. This is optional, but you have a particle emitter. Here are the properties if you guys are interested. And then just to give it, the effect, because most Tycoon games had the particle emitter, just giving out kind of like the smoke-like effect and stuff, as if it's melting things. So yeah. Then we have the conveyor. This, of course, is very important, right? This especially. This is the conveyor. If you drop something on it, it's going to slide down, right? So pretty much for the conveyor, I don't think there are any specific okay, there's no specific properties if I can recall. I mean, I'll show you guys just in case, but yeah, no, I do everything with the script. If you guys are wondering how you get the effect where like an object is on top of it and it'll like slide this way, then we're gonna do that in the script. So yeah, we're gonna get to that in the script. But yeah, just like that, I've finished showing you guys all the steps to make the Tycoon. except like in the workspace, I should say. At least we still got a couple of things left. Okay, so these are our droppers, right? So inside of server storage, you want to insert a folder. Name this folder droppers, right? And then you guys, you may not know droppers off of the name, but you'll definitely know, yeah, this is what they look like. This may not look exactly like what it will like in a real Tycoon game, but you guys get the gist, right? So you would throw your dropper inside here, right? And then like I said, once again, be very specific with your naming. So as you guys can tell, they're models, and then you want to name it starter drop, right? Be very specific with your name. So you want to do the name. You pretty much want to do the name of I forgot what is this called again. I honestly forgot what is this called again. The spawners. The name of the spawner minus the per, like drop per, just drop, right? So pretty much for this is simply just 3 parts. We have the base, then the actual thing where the parts fall from, and then the top and stuff. It's honestly extremely easy to make, right? To explain the properties, of course all this you want this to be anchored and can't collide. Except for this. The part dropper is the only thing that you want oh actually no, sorry, never mind. You guys could turn can't collide if you wanted to. You could really turn can't collide off if you guys wanted to, but that's up to y'all. You don't necessarily need to. But just to, if you wanted to, you could though. And then inside we have interval. Interval, you know, you guys know how each dropper drops parts at like different times. Like some may drop after every 3 seconds, some may drop after every 6 seconds and stuff. It all depends. So pretty much this value is how often it'll drop. So since I have it set to 1, it goes by seconds. So since it's 1, this dropper will drop parts every 1 second, right? So then we can go ahead and once you guys have finished, you would put that dropper inside of the folder named droppers, and then you would leave it inside of server storage. Then lastly, we have parts. This is the parts that fall from the dropper, right? Just small little parts. This is what's going to be parented to the folder parts when it's when we create them in the game via the script, right? Or when we clone them over, I should say. So you simply would just want to name it part. Property wise, you don't want it to be anchored because you want it to be able to move. So you don't want it to be anchored, right? And I think yeah, that's really it. But then inside, of course, you have multiplier. Now the multiplier is so say if what's it called? I'm trying to think. So say if like you have a multiplier or actually, do I really need to? Yeah, I do need. Okay. So say if you have multipliers, I'm not going to go over them in this part. Like I'll go over it in part 2 if the video gets enough likes and stuff like that. But pretty much this, say if you want to put like specific parts in the dropper to drop more, like to drop like a higher amount and stuff like that, you could increase this because it's going to multiply the default value, which will be 5. That's what I decided to go with. You guys can choose whatever you want, times this number. So if you change this to 2, it'll be 10, 3, 15, and so forth. But yeah. And then we could go ahead and just put this back in server storage. And just like that, guys, let me just check. Yeah, that's it. We're done with everything. Honestly, this video will go a lot quicker. Like, honestly, the most confusing thing about this video will be setting up the Tycoon. If you didn't have trouble with that, then you're not going to have much of a struggle with the scripting because the scripting is very simple, honestly. And I shortened it a lot and kept it to it's just 3 scripts. Could just be 2, honestly, but I preferred 3. But anyway, let's go ahead and get straight into it. Okay, so first things first, let's insert a server script into server script service. We're going to name this script stats script. As you guys guessed, this is going to be our stats handler. So let's delete print hello world, and we are going to create a data store. Before we get into that, actually, if you don't have data stores enabled, simply click home, game settings, go to what is the thing called, security, right, and enable studio access to API services so that you can enable data stores, and make sure you click save, right? That's simple. Now let's go ahead and get to the data store portion. So we're going to create a variable. We're going to say local Tycoon data store. You guys feel free to name it whatever you want. I'm just go with Tycoon data store, and then I'm going to say game get service data store service get data store. In quotation marks, I'm going to say Tycoon data store, right? Then I'm going to make 2 functions. I'm going to first make the first function, which is, when the player joins, we're going to load their data. So I'm going to say game.players added connect function. Then in parentheses, I'm going to say PLR, which is short for the player who joined, enter. Then I'm going to create a leader stats folder. I'm going to say local leader stats. These are the stats that are going to be visible. Is equal to instance dot new folder, parent the folder to the player, then do leader stats dot name is of course equal to leader stats. For the next thing, I'm going to create a stats folder, right? And then we're going to do local stats folder. The reason I'm naming this folder stats folder instead of just stats is because you guys see it's blue now, even though it will work if I just left it like this, but I don't want to confuse people, so I'm just going to go with stats folder. But the actual name in game is just going to be stats. So it's equal to instance dot new folder, same thing, but this time we're of course going to parent to the player, but this time we're going to do, stats folder dot name, just stats, right? And then to pretty much differentiate between the two, leader stats is what will be visible, in the top right, what you can see on the leaderboard. Stats folder will not be visible. This is just values that you want to save, but you don't want the players to be able to actually see. So then we're going to create our cache value. Local cache is equal to instance.new, then sorry, not cache, number value, comma, parented to leader stats. And then we're going to, of course, do cache.name is equal to cache starting value is equal to 0. Then I'm going to make another variable. I'm actually going to make two more, and these are going to be bool values. First thing would be Tycoon owner, and then that's equal to instance.new, and then this is going to be bool value, comma, then this time it's going to be, we're going to parent it to the stats folder, right? And then we're going to say Tycoon owner, I need to pay more attention. I'm sorry, guys. I need to pay more attention. Tycoon owner, that name is equal to Tycoon owner. Then Tycoon owner, that value is equal to false by default. The Tycoon owner value pretty much is going to check if whether or not the player owns a Tycoon. Of course, by default, when any player joins the game, they're not going to own a Tycoon. When they claim a Tycoon, it'll set that value equal to true. The reason they have this is so that players can't go trying to claim multiple Tycoons. Like if a player already owns a Tycoon and they go try to claim another one, they won't be able to, since this value will be set to true. Right? Then I'm gonna make one last one, and this is owned, and this is owned starter drop, local owned. Well, actually, yeah, we can do it. Owned starter drop is equal to instance dot new, right? Then I'm gonna say bool value, same thing, then stats folder. Okay, so to pretty much explain this, these are the bool values you're going to need for each individual thing, pretty much. To pretty much check if whether or not a player owns it or not. You're gonna need to make a boolean for each one and stuff to check if whether or not, okay, the player does own this. If they do own it when they load their Tycoon, then everything should be spawned in already, which I will add that in part 2 and stuff, because that'd be more work. So I'm gonna do that if you guys want a part 2. But anyway, we're just gonna go ahead and create it just because. So I'm gonna say own starter drop dot name is equal to owned starter drop. Then of course starting value or default value will be set to false. We have all our values set up. Now we can get into the data loading process and as well as the data retrieval process. And we're going to use a protected call function. So local, we're going to say local success, comma, error message is equal to pickout function, close parentheses, enter. First thing we're going to make a variable is local key is equal to player.user ID. Key is the specific identifier for each player's data within a data store. I recommend using a player's user ID. Don't use a player's username because people can change their usernames. So I'd recommend using their user IDs, right? Then I'm also going to create a variable for any data we find. So data is equal to Tycoon data store, gets async, and then you would throw the key in there. And then we're going to say if we find any data for that specific player, we're going to say cache.value is equal to data regular brackets 1, because the first value is going to be saved as whatever the amount of cache the player last had when they were in the game and stuff. So that'll be data 1, and then own starter drop dot value is equal to data number 2 and stuff. And then that pretty much means that whatever the second value is, it'll either be true or false. And then if the player owns starter drop, we'll spawn it for them. If they don't, then they won't spawn. But again, I'll be at that in part 2. But anyway, so yeah, so that guys, we are done. We're technically done because all we need to do is just repeat what we've already done. So pretty much we're gonna go right here, enter, and then we're gonna do while not success. This is pretty much just to ensure, just in case there's any issues. We're gonna do task.wait 2 seconds, and then let's copy and paste. So Control C, Control V. Just like that, guys, we're done with that function. Now on to the second function. I told you guys it's really not gonna like probably gonna surprise you, but it's not gonna take, this will not take long at all. Then we're gonna do game.players.player removing connect function. In parentheses with PLR, but it's short for the player who's leaving. Then I'm gonna do the same thing. Local success, comma, error message is equal to peek-out function, close parentheses, enter. Then I'm gonna, of course, get the key, which is the player's user ID. Then I'm going to create a data table. Local data table is equal to special brackets, right? Then I'm going to insert each value into the table. So table.insert data table. Then we'll say player dot leader stats. First things first is cache. And then the second thing, table.insert data table player, this time stats folder. Make sure you're retrieving the data correctly. Owned starter drop that value, right? That value. And just I guess like a notice, make sure that you're saving data in the order that you're loading it, or else you'll mess things up. You guys see how we load caches the first value, like first thing we do is, oh, actually no, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, never mind, it wouldn't really matter the order you're loading in. Pretty much whatever you're setting it as. You guys see how we're setting cache value to whatever the first value is within the data store, right? So you need to save it as, that's the first value you need to save, which is cache, and the second with the second. But yeah, so just like that, we're almost done. Skip 2 lines, and then we're going to say Tycoon data store, set a sync, throw in the key, and then you're going to simply just throw in the data table, right? And then we're going to go on the outside, and then we're going to say while not success, enter. Then you guys are just going to Control C, do task that wait 2 seconds, Control V, and boom. Just like that, guys, we are done with the stat script. Now we can move on to the core script. So yeah, we're done there. Let's go ahead and insert another server script to the server script service. And then let's go ahead and name it core script. And then let's insert a module script into the core script. Let's insert a module script. And then we can go ahead and name the module script or module, right? And then don't worry, guys, if you don't understand modules, I have a video on how to understand modules if you're interested in that. If you don't really understand modules, I have a video on that. But anyway, it's very simple, very easy. So we're pretty much going to delete everything, and then we're going to only need one variable actually on the script. And surprisingly, no remote events. Surprisingly, no remote events, at least for part 1, I should say. So first things first, I'm going to make a variable for the core module. So the way we do that is we do local core module. Here's how you retrieve a module script. You do is equal require, because we require the script dot core module, right? That's how you would require something. Then we're going to use 2 for I loops. First thing first, we're going to say for iv in pairs workspace get children, do if game dot teams find first child v dot name, right? Then this pretty much means it's gonna get all the children of the workspace if the name of anything matches the name of a team, which you guys see. This is why I said it was important that the names have to match. So it's gonna search the workspace. It's gonna see, okay, Alpha Tycoon. And then it's gonna also search the team service, and it's gonna say, okay, do any of the children match the name of anything in the workspace? Okay, Alpha Tycoon, the name matches. Then it's gonna proceed. That's pretty much how this works. Then I'm gonna set up a function. I'm gonna say v.tycoon. Once again, this is why I said it is very important that you name everything exactly as I named it, unless you know how to change things yourself. So then, of course, Tycoon claimer, referring to this, right? Tycoon claimer head, because remember, head is the name of the specific part. You can't touch a model. You can touch a part though. So head touched connect function in parentheses put hit enter. This is pretty much how a player would claim something, right? We're setting it up. So we're gonna say if game.players find first child hit.parent.name, just confirming that it is a player. And if it is a player, we're going to set up a variable for the player. We're going to say local player is equal to, you guys can copy and paste this, Control C, Control V, right? Boom. And then we're going to say core. We're going to say core module. Then here is how you would set up functions, right? We're going to actually leave this right here. We're going to set up a function on the module script, right? So we're going to create some variables. I know this may be a little confusing. So, and I know this may be a little weird with the return at the end. This pretty much is the start. This is the beginning. So you want this to be at the end of everything. Like you want this to be at the end of everything. You want this to be at the start of everything, right? So, so I'm actually going to rename this because I personally just prefer to go by mod. These names have to match, by the way. So if you change the name, make sure they match. So we're going to create two variables up here. We're going to say local droppers. This is referring to the folder in server storage. So game server storage wait for child droppers. Then I'm also going to get the parts. So local part is equal to game server storage wait for child part, right? And then we're going to go ahead and create a function. So the way we create functions is you do mod dot, then here is where you would create the name, you would type the name of the function. Here is how you create a function that can be called on via this server script. So I'm going to name this function claim. So I'm going to do mod.claim is equal to function, and then you guys will notice that it's similar to the way a remote event works. Function, and then you're sending over arguments. So player, then arg1, which is short for argument one, then enter, right? That's how you make functions and module scripts. Now watch this. If I go here and I do dot, you guys see how it appears. Not only does the function appear here, it also tells you what information you need to pass over, depending on what you named it. So it's important that you name it things you would remember, like you would understand stuff, so you know what you need. So we would simply just do mod.claim, and then we would send over. Then all we need to do is send over the player as well as the name. Oh, let me do that. Then Tycoon claimer, the Tycoon claimer part or model itself. So Tycoon Vita Tycoon claimer, right? Then let's go back to the server script. We're going to handle all the module script serving. Module script scripting. We're going to handle that after the server script stuff. I just wanted to set this up and stuff so you guys would just know, and everything. We're going to just do one script at a time. I don't want to jump from one script to another script, and then you guys just get confused. Now for the last for I loop on the script, and then we can just get to the module script. I'm going to say for iv in pairs workspace get children once again, enter, and I'm going to say if game dot teams, you guys already know, find first child v dot name, enter, then use another for I loop for i2 comma v2 in pairs. Then this time we're going to do v get children, enter, and then I'm going to do split message. I'm going to say local split message is equal to string dot split v2. Make sure you do v2, not v. v2 dot name comma in quotation marks do spawner. All right, and then I'm going to say if split message regular brackets 2, enter. We're going to set up a function. So v2 dot head, just like before, dot touched connect function in parentheses put hit, then do if game dot players find first child, you guys already know, hit dot parent dot name, right? And then we're going to go on the outside of this because we're not done yet. We're going to say dot team dot name, and we're going to say it's equal to v dot name, and then we're going to do enter. So we get everything in the workspace, and then we get the name of the. Wait, actually, hold on. We get the name. We get everything in the workspace. Make sure it matches the team name for it to get children. Spawner. Oh yeah, this one. Oh yeah. I remember now. Okay, so this is the spawner functions, right? This is why I said it's important to name everything exactly as I named it. So you guys see how it has the word spawner in it, so it knows it's a spawner. So pretty much it doesn't matter what it is, as long as the model part, whatever the case may be, has the word spawner in the name, it's going to be added to this function for whenever a player touches it. Instead, it's going to trigger this function to then trigger the function on here that we're going to create and stuff, and that's how you'll be able to spawn things, right? That's pretty much what it's doing. And then this if statement is pretty much checking to make sure that the player that's stepping on the part is actually the owner of the Tycoon, because you wouldn't want another player able to charge. You wouldn't want another player to be able to buy things for the other player using their money and stuff on because that just wouldn't make sense. So yeah, then we're gonna do the same thing. Control C, Control V. You guys can just save time by doing that. Then we're going to say core module. Let's go back here, create another function. Control C, skip a line, Control V. This time you want to name this spawner, mod.spawner, right? And then we're gonna go back here, and then we're gonna say spawner this time. Then player, and then we're gonna send over v2, right? That's the specific spawner. And just like that, guys, we are done with the core script. Now we can move on to the core module. Told you guys, it was not gonna take long. Now here's where things get where we have to do kind of a lot, but really not that much. Not gonna lie, it's really like we're only adding like 40 more lines. Not gonna lie, it's not a lot. So first, let's make a variable. Making variables for each function is very important so you know what exactly is being sent over. So first things first, we're going to say local Tycoon claimer is equal to argument number 1 because that's what we sent over. We sent over the specific Tycoon claimer. We're going to say if player.stats, remember the stats folder, that Tycoon owner dot value is equal to false. This is what I was referring to while we were making the first script. This is ensuring that the player is trying to the player is not trying to claim a Tycoon. The player is not trying to claim a Tycoon when they already own a Tycoon. That's one check. We need to do a second check. For the second check, we're going to say and Tycoon claimer dot humanoid dot display name is equal to claim here, and then exclamation mark, enter. This is 2 checks. Checking that 1, the player trying to claim the Tycoon doesn't own a Tycoon. And this check, the only reason that the display name for the Tycoon sign would say claim here is if it is currently unowned. So this is pretty much ensuring that a player isn't trying to claim a Tycoon that someone else already owns, right? Then if they meet the checks and then they're good to claim it, we can of course change the value of this. So let's just paste this let's copy and paste this. So Control C, Control V, equal sign, and change this to true, right? Because they do not want to own a Tycoon. Then we're going to say Tycoon claimer dot humanoid dot display name is equal to player name, right? So that we know the player owns it. Or actually, you guys add a little more to this. You could say player dot name dot player dot name S Tycoon. So Spy J19's Tycoon, right? Then moving on, we can do Tycoon. We can do Tycoon claimer. After you finish the display name, let's do head. So yeah, Tycoon claimer head. Then we'll do transparency is equal to 0.8. We want it to be pretty much transparent, but not all the way transparent, so people know that it's already been claimed. Then of course we're going to do Tycoon claimer head can collide is equal to false because we want players to be able to walk through it now since it's already claimed. Then we're going to of course set the player's team. We're going to say player.team is equal to, once again, another reason why it's important that your team names match up with the name of the model is equal to game.teams regular brackets. And then you're going to do Tycoon claimer parent name. It's also important how you parent everything, so make sure you parent it correctly. So it's going to search for the team name that matches the name of the model, right? Then all we gotta do is just set up one function. And one while loop, and then we're done with this function, and on to the second one. So we're gonna say Tycoon claimer dot parent dot collector. This is the collector function. Dot touched connect function in parentheses put hit, and then we're gonna have an if statement if hit dot parent is a folder, enter, right? So this pretty much means if the parent of whatever made contact with it is a folder, because you guys know that all the parts should be parented to this folder. So if they're inside of a folder, it's gonna do this. You guys could add a double check, if hit.parent is a folder, or if hit.parent, you could check to make sure that it is this specific folder itself. Because the way I see things is, I wouldn't understand what could really move in the workspace and make contact with something and be a folder. And even if it was, it wouldn't really matter because it wouldn't pass. It wouldn't matter because it just wouldn't be destroyed or anything. But anyway, we could do player dot leader stats dot cache dot value plus equal to 5. This is the default value that I went with. You guys can do whatever value you want. Then this is the multiplier I was talking about. Then you can do times hit dot multiplier that value, right? It's going to multiply it by the multiplier. Then of course after that we're going to destroy the parts. Hit as in the part, right? Then just make sure we're still good. After that, onto the while loop. Then we're gonna say while true do, so where you just do enter. Then you're gonna say Tycoon claimer dot parent. Here's how you make the conveyor belt move so that like when parts get on it and stuff, like they're moving. Dot parent dot conveyor dot velocity. Here's how you do it. You gotta set the velocity, and that's equal to Tycoon claimer. Same thing. Dot parent dot conveyor dot C frame dot look vector times 23. You guys can change that number if you want it to go slower, faster, whatever the case may be. But yeah, then of course we need a wait so the server doesn't crash. So we're gonna have a wait of 0.2 seconds. Once again, up to y'all the wait time, right? So after that, we have finished that function. Moving on to the second and last function. So for the spawner, we are going to create a variable and we're going to make it item to purchase. So local, let me just tab over and say local item to purchase is of course equal to argument number 1. Then we're going to set up a statement if player leader stats cash value is greater than equal to item to purchase head price value, making sure the player has enough. If the player has enough money, then we're going to subtract it. So then you can just copy and paste this. So Control C, Control V, and then you're just going to say less than equal to, right? That's literally all you're going to do. You're just going to change the greater than sign to an equal than. To a minus sign. Sorry, to a minus sign. Then we're going to create a variable. We're going to say local split message is equal to string dot split, and then you're going to say item to purchase dot name, comma, we're separating the word spawner, right, just like we did on the server script, and then we're going to say player dot stats bracket, and then you're going to say in parentheses you're going to say owned, quotation marks owned, then you're going to say dot split message regular bracket 1, then on the outside, let me think. Yeah, it's all on the outside. Dot value is equal to true. Now, the way this works, this is what I meant when I said it's an automated system, right? As long as you name everything correctly, you can add as much things as you want, right? So you guys remember how on the stat script we made it so it's owned, then the name of the dropper. So it's owned, the name of the dropper, then the word drop. That's just that simple. So if the name of the dropper was cool, it would be owned cool drop, right? It's gonna search for that one. So the word owned, right? And then the name of it minus the word starter. So yeah. Anyway, we're gonna do dot value is equal to true. Then we're gonna clone over the dropper. So local dropper clone is equal to droppers, referring to the folder in server storage. We're gonna search for the specific dropper, regular bracket, split message, regular bracket 1, right? And then we're going to go on the outside and say clone. Then we're gonna say dropper clone. Guys, I swear it took me like 30 minutes just trying to figure this out. Pivot to, if it doesn't spawn exactly as you guys want, just mess around with the numbers. That's all you got to do. Because honestly, I can't really help you if it doesn't spawn. If it's spawning like sideways, upside down, all you can do is mess around with the numbers until you get it just how you want it. It took me so long to figure this out. But anyway, you're gonna say item to purchase dot head dot c frame times c frame dot new 2.7 times negative 3.5 and negative 1, and then you're going to go on the outside or in between the parentheses, and then you're going to say sorry, not comma, you're going to say times c frame dot new, or not new, angle, c frame dot angles. Then we're going to do c frame dot angles. You're going to say math dot rad, and then you're going to do negative 90 degrees, comma, math dot rad 0, comma, math dot rad, and this time we're going to do negative 90 once again, right? And then just like that, we're done with that. We're going to parent it, of course. We're going to say dot parent is equal to item to purchase dot parent, which would be the Tycoon model, and then we're going to destroy it, and then we're going to destroy it soon after. Item to purchase, destroy. You could also use the debris service if you wanted. But yeah, now to set up a while loop. This is so that the parts drop out of it. We're gonna say while game top players find first child player name. This is pretty much to ensure that this while loop will only run so long as the player is in the game. If the player leaves, then yeah, Yeah, it won't do it anymore. Then we're gonna say local part clone is equal to part clone, right? Then we're gonna say local team name is equal to string dot split. Then we're gonna say player dot team dot name, comma, and then we're gonna say quotation marks Tycoon. Then we're gonna say part clone dot parent is equal to workspace find first child. And then we're gonna say team name regular bracket one dot 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 quotation marks Tycoon. And then on the outside we're gonna say dot parts, which is referring to the parts folder. Then did not mean to do that. Parts. Then on to the next line. Did not mean to do that. Let me go over. Then after that we're gonna set their position. So part clone dot position is equal to dropper clone. You guys may have to mess around with this as well for a while. So dropper clone dot part dropper dot position plus, not times, plus vector 3 new 0 comma 0. Let's do negative 0.5 comma 0, right? Then we're gonna do right here, this is what I meant by when I said intervals. So task dot wait dropper clone dot interval dot value, right? It's gonna wait until it's gonna wait for the next one, the next I guess till it drops the next parts and stuff like that until that's done. And just like that, guys, we have finished. Even though the video is like 40 minutes long, honestly the scripting didn't feel that long. In my personal opinion, I feel like we only spent like about 10 minutes more so focused on like the builds and stuff. But yeah, as always, if you guys want access to the script or the scripts model, any of my other scripts and models, you guys can become either a channel member or a Discord subscriber. Links to both those options can be found in the description. Link to my Discord server can also be found in the description. You guys get access to sneak peeks. You guys can just be there and chill. We're at almost 800 members, and you guys can submit video ideas, get help with scripts. Well, my scripts, I should say. And yeah, also join the Roblox group. But anyway, let's go ahead and test. So you guys see we have all the team names. If I try to claim it, boom, SpyJ19 Tycoon. You guys see my name up there. You guys also see the cash value. If I open the player, you guys see we have stats and leader stats, right? So boom. So we have our conveyor belt, as you guys can see. I move alongside it, right? So that's working good so far. Then if I trigger the dropper, as you guys could tell, I had enough since it was free. And then now it's dropping parts. It spawned the dropper correctly, and they're dropping parts from it. And as the parts make contact with it, they're being destroyed and being converted into cash. And yeah, that is how you make a Tycoon system and stuff. This is the part 1 of the series. Like I said, if you guys show the video enough love, I for sure got you guys with a part 2. I'll continue the series. The video just gets enough love, I got y'all with part 2 and stuff like that. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. If you're new, definitely hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.